Hi there, and welcome to the Mugcast, a cozy listen to pair with your coffee. I'm Hannah, I'm a writer and therapist living abroad, and I write articles on Medium where I cover everything from music to psychology, and soon I'm going to be coming out with my first book called Facing Away on June 12th. Here on the podcast, I read my stories aloud with a few fresh reflections and insights along the way, so grab your mug, settle in, and let's get into today's episode. Today's topic is an article called What Are Women in Music Allowed to Wear? And now bear with me, women are always allowed to wear everything. But I've recently seen a lot of discussion around Olivia Rodrigo's new video, especially the type of branding, the type of colors, and the type of aesthetic that she's built around it. So in this reading, I'm going to be going through all the different opinions that I found online, and I'm going to be reviewing them and checking what really makes sense in 2026 and why are we still talking about what women are wearing and not what they are singing. So the topic of today is visual brands and why Sabrina Carpenter is too hot, Olivia Rodrigo too naked, and everyone so scarcely dressed. Let's get into it. As always, the link to the article will be down below, so if you click the link down below, you get right to the piece that I'm reading right now. You can highlight things in the article. You can have the article be read to you by an AI voice if you prefer that. You can also comment on the article, and you can create highlights, which means that you can save certain citations if you want to comment specifically on something. So yeah, the article link down below is the full stop for everything. Let's get into today's piece. As a former singer and pianist in my own band, if you had told me to go on stage in a corset, a ruffly pajama, or a leather bikini, my trembling voice would be the smallest cause for cringe. Likely, you could have observed me peeing my missing pants or fidgeting with the belts that they were calling a skirt, and I would be eyeing my boobs like diamonds because they're so close to the upper seam of my bralette. Clearly, I'm not graced with a lot of body positivity, but I would argue that I fall in the larger norm when it comes to women and their self-image. As a Sabrina Carpenter fan myself, I decided to silence this questioning voice inside me and focus on the obvious humor in Sabrina's lyrics, which juxtaposes her daunting outfits quite well. So I think her visual brand really neatly fits her music because in her songs, in her lyrics, she sings about men and about how she's treating men, and then she kind of juxtaposes this by how she dresses. I did the same for many different artists over the years, until the recent drop of Drop Dead by Olivia Rodrigo. If you weren't there for the outrage, parts of the Threads community specifically was abhorred by her minimal outfit, and another part didn't understand where the sudden problem was even coming from. And the third party, they argued that there is a right to dress however you want. And since then, I've been bombarded with people reiterating this discussion over and over again. So here I am assembling the jungle of arguments on what women ought to wear if millions of dollars grace their bank account. Because somehow the presence or lack of fabric on a woman, which seemingly has nothing to do with the music that they're creating, you'd think, strangely does have a large impact on the person at the microphone. The first topic is going to be called Wear What You Want, But We All Care. It seems that some celebrities have overcome the crutch of body shame, and I honestly cheer for them. I'm well aware that being pretty in our world is as much a value as it is a product. It's not by chance that the rich and famous are also the prettier. And supposedly, they are so body positive that lingerie in front of thousands of people is not an issue. I am firmly of the opinion that a girl should be able to wear whatever the hell she wants. I think there should be no judgment, there should be no catcalls, there should be no nothing. So whenever this heated debate appears online, I catch myself always defending the artists first, because honestly, the bodysuits in Sabrina's case and the pink ruffled pajamas in Olivia's case in her new video are all tools of marketing, and they're all quite clever tools of marketing, to be honest, because all of these outfits I genuinely find very pretty as a woman. The visual brands of pop stars are very unique these days, and they're very simple to understand. So they sell very well. If a visual brand, if it is taken seriously and if it's done well, is actually a piece of art in and of itself, I think. And it demands to be admired. I specifically, when I think of brands or visual brands that I admire, I specifically think of Sabrina Carpenter, because the aesthetic with which she makes her albums, but especially her music videos, is actually insane. Her house tour video is just a recent artifact of how insanely well she is planning and executing her music videos. I think they're just on a completely different level. But now we're going to be talking about Jennie from Blackpink. Because when Jennie wore her infamous Chanel two-piece to the Paris Fashion Week in 2026, this became a huge moment of brand promotion. This was especially an influential point because she uploaded a clip of herself doing the Dracula trend where she's just walking, which is her newest song in a collab with Tame Impala. Some netizens shared videos of her uncomfortably hiding parts of her body behind her tiny bag, because in fact, this two-piece is more of a no-piece, in my humble opinion. Unless, of course, underwear is counted as a separate piece. Technically, this outfit consists of two pieces, right? The skirt and the top part. Yet, I can't help but notice that this is a bit of the Emperor's New Clothes type of thing, because effectively, the skirt is completely see-through. The top part with the pearls is also completely see-through. All you can really see is her underwear. It's just a question of, do you want to call this a two-piece, a four-piece, a five-piece? Because there's a bag. And don't get me wrong, I love this outfit. It looks gorgeous on her. Would I wear it? Never. I would die if someone told me to wear this publicly. But I'm excited that women can wear these things and they can wear whatever they like these days. That's an important right that feminists fought for many, many years. So I will only ever applaud her. The reason I'm mentioning this here, though, is because this is a perfect example of a woman in very few clothes for which people have very divided opinions. I vividly remember when Blackpink toured around the world and they had a concert in Kaohsiung last year, I think. And one of my friends is a young mother. She went to the Blackpink concert with her teenage daughter. After the concert, she posted a picture of Lisa in a similarly revealing outfit where she was basically dancing with a bra and some shorts, very short shorts. And my friend, a millennial from Vietnam, wrote in the caption, "Disgusting. I would never let my daughter wear something revealing like that." And I was honestly abhorred by that statement, because how dare she, even though she's a friend of mine, how dare she hate on another woman's choice of clothing? How dare she hate on what another woman finds hot? Like, let everyone wear what they want. Why does she have to be so mean? Among all of this freedom and being able to wear whatever you want as a woman, there's still somehow another side of the coin, though, which people are currently discussing. And this is probably something that a woman with a teenage daughter sees more than me. Because if you dress very scarcely as a woman, or if you dress in very short clothes as a woman, there is the danger of sexualization or being sexualized. The second topic is sexualization, infantilization, and the Epstein file. It's a very difficult landscape to deal with because the duality becomes visual brands with less fabric help increase your values, but also they might decrease your personal safety as a woman. In my humble opinion, the problem that women online are currently fighting about is not actually whether women should be allowed to wear what they want. Defenders of the let the girl wear what she wants camp are often admirably future-oriented feminists who strive to edge an equal future to come nearer through radical acts of freedom, which I personally admire. The other side, which is aware of the dangers of sexualization, is more present-minded. The second camp, the ones who are more present-minded, is what rose to the keyboards when Olivia Rodrigo released her new music video. In all honesty, I love her new song. I love Drop Dead and I've been singing it so many times. And when I first watched the music video, I saw no problematic content, honestly. I didn't see a problem with her dressing style at all because for some reason all I saw was Versailles. I was very taken by the idea of Versailles and her being in her bedroom, using Versailles as a bedroom. I think that was an ingenious move. I was busy matching the Y2K shooting style with my own childhood memories of going to Versailles as a child with my parents. And living in Asia now, ruffled pajamas are not abnormal to my eyes either. So I wasn't really surprised by the visuals that I was getting. My fellow netizens certainly were not as forgiving as I was. In the first few hours after the video was released, I read the same statement time and time again, which actually shocked me to the core because I had completely failed to see the video in that way. Many women wrote that, quote unquote, this infantilization in the video is crazy. They were saying that it refers to abuse cases. They were mentioning the Epstein files. And they were basically saying that in the times of the Epstein files, where such cases are still heavy on people's minds, you shouldn't be dressing up in a pajama and ruffles and run around Versailles. There were many different versions of this statement that I read on that day. And I personally think this is a little far-fetched because I didn't see that at all. I firmly believe that just because cases and things have happened, that doesn't mean that women now have to dress differently than before. I think Olivia is using the ruffled pajamas as an extension of her pink and hyper-feminine visual brand, which is very timely and in line with the fashion at the moment. Some people even argue that the outfit might be an attempt at hinting at Rococo-era dresses. However much or little that is really historically accurate, I would probably argue that it's not very historically accurate if that's what she's trying to do. But I agree that there's an irony in how the public perception of beauty leans further and further towards the anima or the hyperfeminine. I've already analyzed this in a different piece where I was talking about the feminine and masculine pendulum, and I'm going to link that article below too. I was basically talking about how the public perception of what a woman should be is going like a pendulum back and forth. And sometimes we prefer more feminine and sometimes we prefer more masculine looking women. Now, chapter 3, let's talk about the male gaze and naked money. I can sing and perform on stage, and though I'm not amazing at it, I will get the job done. That is, unless you would ask me to wear some of the female pop stars' current outfits. This does raise the question of who they are dressing for because it probably isn't just comfortable. Maybe you're comfortable in a corset. Maybe Sabrina Carpenter is wearing a corset and finding it amazingly comfortable, but somehow I can't relate to that. I have seen more and more recent shorts where women in fashion defend themselves against haters who accuse them of dressing for the male gaze. The argument comes from the fact that fewer clothes means more clicks, especially from men, much of which is remarkably removed from what women like to wear. And this argument for a long time lingered around Sabrina Carpenter especially. In her recent video for House Tour, which Sabrina recently released, she again pushed the boundaries on what is male gaze and what is not male gaze. In the video, there's all kinds of really hot shots. There's dropping panties, there's exposed butts, there's lingerie everywhere, there's everything in a miniskirt, and all of that during a robbery. It's a typical example of Sabrina's hyper-feminine maximalism without the presence of a man, besides the policeman. I had a very eye-opening discussion about this video, the house tour video specifically, with a pansexual friend of mine. Interestingly, we were both watching the same video and we realized that the both of us, despite both being women, had very different views on the same video. Especially we had very different views on what we found hot. The bottom line from that discussion was, she found shots from the video to be hot, which I could not relate to. And I found things in the video to be hot, which she could not relate to. But we both agreed that what I found hot was remarkably closer to what a man might find hot. The Cambridge Dictionary refines the male gaze as showing or watching events or looking at women from a man's point of view. What I'm trying to say is, in general, I think we as a society, being trained in a patriarchal society, are trained to look at things from a male perspective. And I think this is even truer for straight women. Now I'm seriously unsure of myself because while the house tour video contains scenes that appeal to only women, which both my friend and I could agree on, we cannot deny that in a world dominated by men, our gaze might also be influenced and tainted by what we learn to find hot from men, especially as straight women. And this is where things get crazy confusing. Because that means, I don't even know if what I'm thinking and seeing is informed by patriarchy, because I have not seen anything besides patriarchy, so I can't tell whether I'm male gaze inflicted or not. And that doesn't help me at all with choosing what's inside my closet and what I should wear for the day. Unless, of course, the only way that I can make sure that something that I'm wearing for the day is completely uninformed by the male gaze is when I would go on YouTube or go on TikTok or go somewhere and look for these girls who are posting dressing against the male gaze videos. But then again, those women are also formed by patriarchy, and their views are informed by patriarchy, so they might actually be performing according to the male gaze too, because they're doing the same thing that I'm doing, just on YouTube. An interesting thing that I found from looking through different videos of people who are trying to dress against the male gaze is that all of them had different approaches. And suddenly it appeared to me that they don't really know what they're doing. Like, they don't know either what they're doing if they're dressing against the male gaze. Chapter 4, mini skirts as branding or cash grabs. The best way to show that little clothing can be a choice, even today, for women, is that some celebrities do not have a purposefully low coverage visual brand. Billie Eilish and Lola Young proved that a baggy outfit is also a unique brand. Olivia Dean and Ray sing in very long and luxurious dresses. Dove Cameron crafts her very own evil queen aesthetic. Chapel Rowan does her drag. Aurora is a very whimsical fairy type of visual brand. Most of all, Pink Pantheress' plastic reminiscent femininity, which is also very maximalistic, is actual art, in my humble opinion. So it seems that as a woman in the music industry today, there is a choice of what to wear. A visual brand is a must. You have to have a visual brand. But while we might not yet have true freedom of clothing for women, at least we're celebrating the complexity that is women and their garments. The saddest thing that I see on the internet right now is, regardless of which argument and which artist is in question, is that instead of women cheering on other women to be the best version of themselves, women are shredding the image of another adult woman. So one female bashes the other female in the comments over how to be a woman. And the irony is, they are all women. They're all women taking each other down. And so I purposefully have decided that after this whole Olivia Rodrigo conundrum, and it's still going on, I purposefully choose to only judge the coherence of a brand. So when I look at an artist and I want to know whether I vibe with this, first of all, I typically find artists via Spotify. So usually I don't see their visual brand immediately. Every Friday I sit down and spend a few hours really in depth listening to the new releases, to new albums. I also have an album tracker where I see which artist is going to come out with a new album that I'm already anticipating. Because the whole visual thing is such a big conundrum, I will be trying to analyze more of the coherence between what I hear in the song and what I see visually. If I love the song, that's enough. Like for Olivia Dean, it makes sense. She's singing in a lower tone of voice sometimes. She's doing very freestyle, feminine performances that are not over embellished. So for her, it makes sense to wear a beautiful gown. That's simple cut, but beautiful. Long, beautiful gown. For Ray, I want some big hair and really big gowns and really poppy style that isn't overdone, but still classic. Because her singing is classic and her instrumental background is classic. And her new album is very much like this maximalist classic style. Obviously for Chapel Rowan, I want lots of drag and I want lots of crazy and lots of insane things that people would never wear. So I'm looking for coherence of brands where audible and visible are coming together. And I cease to emphasize the clothes or the lack thereof. I don't care how much or little the person is wearing, as long as I can see maybe a color scheme or an idea or how they're playing with their lyrics or their instruments. If it makes sense that you're wearing a ruffled pajama in Versailles because your song is called Drop Dead and it's about a girl in her pajama at home literally stalking a guy that she likes, that makes sense. That checks out. I don't care how much or little you're wearing. What you're wearing makes sense. Because honestly, if one thing surely is in the male gaze, then it is noticing how much or little fabric is on a woman's body. And that, I think, concludes this episode. Honestly, I have the same pajamas. I'm gonna be very honest. Maybe it's just me, because living in Asia, these like ruffle pajamas are very, like, everybody wears them. And they're really comfortable. I would prefer this baby doll aesthetic over a corseted like tank top thing. So I really find this weird that people are like, no, she's looking like a child. She shouldn't play into this. I think if she were to wear jeans and a white shirt, that would not make sense with what she's trying to get across in her music. And that's what I find is important to me. For me, it's important to see an artist. For me, it's important to have great music, and I want this great music to be supported by a visual brand that I find interesting, so I can step into the world. And I think she's done a great job at creating her world. What better world to choose than the literal Palace of Versailles? Thanks for granting me access to your ears on the Muckcast. You can read more of my writing on Medium under Hannah's Cafe, on YouTube on Hannah's Cafe, or you can go to my Instagram, which is also Hannah's Cafe. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast, leave a like, and share it with fellow coffee lovers. And let me know in the comments what article I should be reading next. Hope to see you soon somewhere else on Hannah's Cafe. Bye bye!